Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Stapp. What's up, bud?
What's up, man? How are you?
Doing real well, man. It's great to hear your voice again. I'm so proud of you for keeping it together, man. We spoke in Orlando in 2008. You had definitely been through some rough times. You're a survivor. You guys are back together with Creed playing Saturday at the Ruth Eckerd Hall, and I'm sure people want to know how you went from somewhat of an acrimonious breakup to finding yourselves back together and playing the Creed music that people love so much.
I tell you, man, it's been a long journey, and it happens in rock and roll. It happens with bands. It happens with families. It happens with best friends. You get pissed off at each other, and you annoy each other, and that's what happened, man. And you just get over it. Just like in most situations in life with people that you love, you take some time away, and then you just migrate back to each other when it feels right. And right now, it feels right.
Awesome, man. Time heals all wounds, I guess they say, right?
Yeah, I mean, it helps. It definitely moves things forward.
Hey, Scott, how much pressure comes along with being one of the biggest bands in the world?
Wow, a lot of pressure, man. It's definitely not easy, and we're just flying by the seat of our pants there back in late '90s and early 2000s, and a lot of pressure. I think being ignorant to really the reality of how big the band was probably helped, most definitely.
Right. And probably, Scott, nobody really trains you on how to be a rock superstar. In other words, while you're on your way up, there's probably no workshops you can take, probably nobody that you can talk to that's going to prepare you for not only the popularity, but the immense backlash. I mean, Creed and yourself, you're just such a polarizing figure where it's either you're a huge fan or, there's a contingent of people out there who can't wait to see you fall again,
Oh, yeah, man, that's life. And it would have been nice to have, a rock and roll 101 intro class. But, they don't do that, man. We were just four dudes jamming in a basement in Tallahassee and kind of throwing it to the fire. And we wanted it any other way. Everything happened the way it did, and it was an amazing ride, man, good and bad.
Absolutely. We're speaking with Scott Stapp. Creed is playing at Ruth Eckerd Hall this Saturday.
Scott, why do you think that you're such a polarizing figure and Creed is such a polarizing band? Do you think it's mostly because of your popularity?
I think on one hand, any artist that becomes extremely popular, there's always going to be two camps that form, and I think we threw some other things in there, some other factors in there that even accentuated polarizing, and that would be some of the spiritual themes and some of the opinions expressed in that I was writing. Really, were hot issues, and it caused people to choose sides.
Do you see kind of yourself, and I don't want to equate you with a Tim Tebow, but with a lot of the backlash you see about Tim Tebow, it's because he wears his spirituality on his shirt sleeve. In other words, I don't think that he crams it down people's throat, but he definitely lets it be known that he is a man of faith. Can you relate to kind of what he goes through with what you went through with Creed at the crest of your popularity?
Well, I tell you, we're much different. On one hand, yes, I do, share the same faith, but at the time that we were the most popular, I definitely wasn't living it like Tim Tebow is. I really wanted nothing to do with that life. I was raised that way, very strict, hardcore, religious, fanatical family, and I was running from it. I ran as far away as I could, straight to rock and roll.
Right.
And when we got that label, I think it instead of feeling proud. It didn't accurately characterize the band. We were living a rock and roll lifestyle, and within that, we were just being honest in our music and talking about some of the issues in our own lives, and that was one of them. Today, years later, after everything, I'm in a much different place spiritually, and I'm right with God in my life, and living that life, and I finally come to grips with that. But back in the day, I don't think you could make any comparison between me and Tebow because it's just two different scenarios, man. I was living in this world partying like a rock star and running from my faith. Tim has embraced it, and it's tough. It's tough in both regards. Because when you do that and you make a statement of your faith and you come out and you say, hey, I believe in this, people think that you're supposed to be perfect. And, you know, the way I believe is God and Christ didn't come for people who were perfect. He came for the sick. He came for people that needed him. And I definitely have been one of those guys, and I'm still one of those guys. So being a Christian doesn't mean you're perfect. It just means you know, you're trying to improve your life, and it's about progress, man. And, you know, so I think if everyone in the world stood, there'd be a lot less judgment.
Absolutely, man. We're speaking with Scott Stapp. Creed is playing at Ruth Eckerd Hall this Saturday.
Scott, any regrets about your music? Are you okay with the way everything played out?
Man, I've accepted it 100%, man. I wouldn't change a thing. Everything in my life, musically, is the way it was supposed to be. And everything was a catalyst for the next record. And then the songs on that record were the catalyst for the next record. So it was a growth process. And in terms of anything in my life that I've gone through because of my own choices or being caught up in the party, you know, that all has helped me now in my faith and in my life as a human being. You know, I survived, thank God. And so I'm able to share that story with other people and hopefully help them avoid things that I didn't avoid.
Absolutely. And Scott, we're all too aware of the pitfalls that you have fallen into, some brushes with the law and whatnot. I imagine those are some of the low points. What's the high point for you when you look back at everything you went through and Creed went through? What's the one thing that shines over everything else as far as the most positive memory that you have?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think the most positive memory I have in my life is meeting my wife and having my 3 kids. You know, that trumps everything. But in terms of Creed, I think just, you know, the fact that, you know, we were 4 guys, man, having a dream of rock and roll superstardom, and it happened. It came true. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to have been given that opportunity, man, and that blessing. And that's the most amazing thing that could happen is just believing in a dream, man, and keep going, and it actually happening.
All right, guys, we're hitting about the 10-minute mark, so if you want to have a great wrap-up question or anything like that, now's the time.
Cool. Yeah, we're good. We'll end on that note. I appreciate it very much. Scott, great connecting with you again.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you, dude. What was that?
That was his publicist breaking the line.
Did she not have your number?
No. When they called in, they said, hey, you have 10 minutes, which that wasn't even 10 minutes if I'm correct.
7 minutes, 33 seconds.
Okay, so she called in and I said, she goes, you know, you have about 10 minutes. I said, great, let me give you my cell phone number. I will give them the wrap-up sign. Call me. And she said, absolutely.
Has that ever happened to you in your 10 years of working in radio?
No one has ever broken the line before. They normally, if we're going over, they'll normally call Danielle, and then Danielle will give us a signal to wrap it up, but no one has ever done that before.
I am so sorry. I told her.
What?
No, it's okay.
I feel bad because I told her when she said it, I said, call my phone. Here's my number. I gave it to her again.
Do you have that on audio? Did you record that?
Give me a second. I mean, I recorded the interview. I'm going to have to find that bit. I've interviewed a lot of people, and I've gone long in interviews before with big names, and I have never in a million years had a publicist break the line on a live on-the-air interview to tell me to wrap it up.
She said, and give him one good last question.
Yeah, here's my last question. Who the hell do you think you are, lady?
She's Scott Stapp's publicist.